live. Here we go. So we're going to get started. Anyway, we'll move down. What's happening is that, hi everybody. First of all, I'm Super Pac Jr. Welcome to my channel. This is kind of an impromptu stream, if you will. Largely because I'm going to be on the road for this one. So there's that. I see now I have a duration. Fantastic. Things are off to a great start. As just about everything else I do around here does. I was at literally the edge of the network, and because we hook up everything Wi-Fi, otherwise, and even though there's unlimited data in the plan, sometimes it just doesn't reflect unlimited data, especially when you have multiple persons on your network who like to watch YouTube and Netflix and all that kind of stuff ad nauseum. So, having said that, let's begin our trek, shall we? We're going to go find and go see London Lass. Now, we're not going to actually go into the hospital because that'd be kind of, not good. But what we will do is we'll pretty much document the fantastic trek that we will go under. And as they toss the football around, despite the fact there's a car coming, because, kids do that these days. There's that. This is my wonderful neighborhood. You can't really see it except through the windows here, but it's a pretty good neighborhood. You've seen it time and time again in the Christmas videos that I put up on my other pages. So there's that. And as soon as I get out of here, which I will be doing so shortly, we'll turn the camera around so you can actually see my wonderful neighborhood. Now, so far, the bracket that's held up my phone has fallen down twice. But that's largely because of the humongous heat that we have been hit with. And I will say this, last 3 days we've been under a heat advisory. It feels like temperature. And the ambient temperature, while it's like 90, 91, the feel like temperature has been more like 100, 102. Let's flip this around so you can see the gates. There it is, and there's a car waiting for whatever reason. Hello there, Lefty. I got news for you, sir. I appreciate your chatting, but I can't really read it right. Threw me for a real loop. Well, yeah, the void thing, I don't know what that was. That's the usual technical difficulties that I usually face. But, it is what it is. It's called my phone, and it's like 3 generations behind. And I tell you, when I test streamed earlier in the day, my phone was quite hot. It wasn't done because of the heat infrared coming through the glass or anything like that. It was just freaking hot. So this ought to be neat. Now, this trek here lasts for anywhere between an hour to an hour and a half. If it survives, fantastic. If the audio survives, that's even better, because I noticed that on my 15-minute clip, it kind of died on me at some point, which is always a good thing, especially if you don't really realize that that's happening. So, hey, at least it'll be picturesque. Alrighty, so our objective is to find the highway that will take us down that's the least stressful. Now, if you've ever traveled in South Florida, there's no such thing. I'm going to tell you right now, that's simply a rumor. But there are a couple of highways that will indeed prove to be somewhat sporadically refreshing. We're going to take the least resistant path, so anytime I see a red light like this, ultimately we're going to head west, and then we're going to head south. So we shall now proceed by going west, because we are now facing south, and now we're proceeding west. Just for your edification, we are in beautiful downtown Sunrise Fla. I appreciate that. Thank you very much, Lefty. Yeah, I'm kind of defying my own rules here by reading what you put on there, because it is kind of important there. This is about London Lass. I'm going to tell some stories that probably you may have heard before, but I don't care. because A, I love telling them. B, it largely is how we met. And for those of you who don't know, she and I used to work for a rather geeky computer repair organization way back in the day when they were pretty much brand new to the national scene. I started when they were literally brand new to the national scene, and she had like a 3-year delay. So anyway, for some reason, they elevated me to a status of manager. I think it's because I was like the one who drew the shortest straw. And I was hiring for some new people to fill in some spots that we had lost, because that's how it works. You know, in the temp repair business, there's always a greater pasture. And I'm sitting there with a room full of people. They thought I was the security guard because of what I was wearing. A black tie, black pants, a badge. You get the idea, if you know who we're talking about. And so I introduced myself, say, hey, how's everyone doing? And in a kind of a Mary Richards style way of things, she kind of spoke up and said, I'm doing fine, how about you? And so I said, oh, good, glad to hear it. Let's go have a talk. Realizing that I'm the guy who's going to be interviewed. And then all of a sudden, after a pregnant pause, everyone's like, oh, me too, I'm doing great. Hey, Dad, you already had your chance, sorry. So, needless to say, the interview worked rather well. Again, she was kind of the Mary Richards to my Lou Grant, if you're familiar with that particular reference. And we didn't hit it off right off the bat, because, I was her supervisor, I was her boss. And you just don't do things like that. So, after a while of that, and particularly not appreciating my old boss coming back, because I kind of became manager under a particular particular boss, I should say, that I worked rather well with, and of course she left to go have a family and all that kind of stuff. Do things that we all would do, especially when we're all young. And then the old boss came back. It's kind of like the Who, won't be fooled again. Well, in this case, it's the old boss coming back. And I didn't really appreciate her style. I didn't appreciate her mannerisms. I didn't appreciate her unprofessionalism. And after that, I decided to go leave. But I was asked to stay. And lo and behold, I said, sure, as long as I'm no longer a manager under you. And fine. So I took a bit of a demotion, but I still kind of retained the leadership of my particular team, and made it available for London Lads and I to get to know each other a little bit better. And that's pretty much it as far as that's concerned. And lo and behold, 3 years later, we got married. So, how about that? And we talked about things that we had in common. One of the things was video games. I'm notorious for collecting them. And I'd estimate to this day I probably have close to 1,500 video games, the consoles and computer and all that. We're talking about actual physical copies, not just like downloads or anything like that. And yeah, I told her, I told her I have this many. It was a little bit less than. I said I'm going to marry the girl that's impressed by that. And well, it turns out she was impressed by that. So that's just kind of how it works. Okay, we are traveling southbound on a road called Hiatus, because it's all broken up throughout the county, or at least it used to be. Now it's not so much. And there's a sign that says Oakland Park Boulevard. Oh my goodness. I could give you a clue as to where I'm exactly at. Now, if you've not been to South Florida per se, it is a beautiful place. You're taking your time. Let's go. I love undecided drivers. They're fantastic to deal with, particularly when they don't have things like turn signals on. And I will be rather critical of other drivers around here. I'm not the best driver in the world, I will grant that. However, I do believe in things like, the speed limit, turn signals, actually paying attention. Stuff, things, junk. And we got a rather grid-like system down here. So we're at 115th Terrace. That means there's 115 of these roads past the 0 point, at least. Gives you how big this area is. The neat thing about this place is that we do have large areas of undeveloped land. But you would never guess that if you actually lived here. Practically, people are living on top of each other, in condominiums and stuff like that, especially further out east as you head towards the beach. Here, not so much. Everything's pretty much still on an x-axis. But they're trying their damnedest not to, and literally build more condos. You're going to see a couple coming up here in the frame here. Going back to London last, she is my rock. She is pretty much my voice of reason, and considering how chaotic I can possibly be, especially on when it comes to stupid things, and my inability to digest why things are that stupid, or my reluctance to do so, I should say. This ought to be neat. Getting back to the right lane. I do apologize for the bouncing around. This is not a dash cam per se. This is my cell phone on a rather old thing that allows me to look at my phone, like if I needed to use the map or whatever like that. But because I've literally driven on just about every road in this county at some point or another, I kind of know my way around, sadly. It was a hobby of mine back when I was in college to get to know the area as best as I can. And why not get to know your own area? Because I've never really known Palm County, Broward County, and unfortunately Dade County. That goes to a certain path or a thoroughfare. Well, in Dade County, they don't do that for whatever reason. They seem to be hesitant to tell you where things actually are. Uh-oh. Okay. This is new. You can't cross the road there. Interesting. So they've done something to... I'm not determined, but I am persistent. It made no sense. I took off my phone cover. See if that's going to help out any. Apparently, my phone's been overheating. Big old crack in it too. How about that? All right. So, having said that, nope, it's causing my phone to overheat. I'm closing now. We'll be closing automatically in 20 seconds. Well, I've tried. Bye. We'll try again some other time. I can't even stay in a minute stream. So. Links and stuff down there in the thing and all that kind of stuff. Thing. Bye. Alrighty. Try this the hard way. My Geico app's probably going nuts. Alrighty. So what we're going to do here is going to do this through a viewer thing. I'll try to post a bit of this tonight. Hello everybody, once again I'm Super Pack Jr. Welcome to my streaming channel, which is not streaming right now because I can't get my camera to work properly on my phone without overheating while using the Twitch app. So we'll do it the hard way. So by the time I get home tonight, it'll probably be around, I don't know, 10, 30, 11, somewhere around there. So we'll just incorporate this into Soul Blazer, and we'll get a stream out of this. And London last night, we're talking about this earlier this morning. Obviously our lives have taken a tremendous detour due to her being hospitalized and stuff like that. And that's just, unfortunately, how it works. So, what we will do in this case is that we'll just kind of work around it, do the best we can. So let's talk about London last real quickly, because that's kind of what we were doing before my camera decided to go, sucker. So she right now, she really had it bad, to put it mildly. She was hospitalized in the middle of May, and here we are now past mid-June, and she's still there. So
obviously it's, a bit of a thing. Yeah, it was pretty bad. And as her doctor said, as the GP said, you're pretty much on death's door. I'm not going to get into the nuts and bolts of what caused this to happen. Let's just say that it was a bit of negligence on both mine and her part. Mine not seeing the signs, and her, well, not taking a precaution or two. But the bottom line is that she is alive. She is getting better. She is fully aware of her surroundings, time, space, that type of thing. And thank God, this could have wound up so much worse than it had been. How sideways this could have really, truly gone, as opposed to where we are now. So there's that. Thank you to Penguinish Liz and Pants of Blue and How to Be Quiet and Lollipop Jai and others, Lefty Intended Video Games, for your support for her. This has not been an easy thing by any means or stretch of the imagination. Everglades Holiday Park next right. Oh my God. What a place to go to. You want to see some people wrestle gators and stuff? Boy, on Griffin Road. And Highway 27, oh my goodness. It's not like you can actually find this on a map. What's neat about this place, as I go on a small tangent here, to the left of us, which is east, there's the border of civilization as we know it. But to the right of us is marsh, swamp. And this is Everglades National Park, the more succinct. It is a humongous area of Florida. You really have to truly appreciate how vast it is. And it goes through a multitude of counties. And the fact that we're bright enough to actually preserve this, although we as man have done indeed some damage to it that we know of, or that we've been informed of, I should say. The fact that we still have it. And I had a friend of mine, actually a friend of London Lass, who came down from England to see us get married a whole bunch of years ago. And he wanted to see something uniquely Floridian. And this certainly would be it. The marshes of the Everglades National Forest. It is a beautiful place. Don't get me wrong. We went on an airboat ride, and me growing up down here, you kind of take it for granted. Things like airboats and fishing, the type of fishing that we do, and the fact that I've been going fishing in places like this practically my entire life. Certainly throughout my childhood. My dad, my brother, and I would spend many an hour here on Highway 27 doing this kind of stuff. Oh, a speed limit, nothing. Hey, perfect. 99, here we come. There's a traffic light up here. So, yeah, it's this is a great place. And I've taken London Lass all up and down the state here. And, of course, South Florida, everyone thinks Miami. And you know what, honestly, rightly so. Miami is a huge area down here in South Florida. You see the palm trees and the tropical stuff, things like that. The music, the peoples. And, honestly, that's correct. That's what you would see. But, of course, there's also Fort Lauderdale, which is not that different. All of greater Fort Lauderdale, which is practically all of Broward County. Palm Beach, which is a bit more, say, regal. More ostentatious, certainly, with glamour, wealth. But then you go up to places like Okeechobee and Sebring, Avon Park, St. Petersburg, St. Augustine, particularly, one of my favorite cities. And it is nothing like what you see here. You go through the Orange Belt, farms as far as the eye can see, whether it be livestock, cattle, horses, etc. So we got all that. That's the beauty about this state, because we're just a big old state. I had a friend of mine who was going to go to we called it the game show, literally a vendor meet, if you will. I work for this guy's coming up really too fast upon me, so I'm just going to go ahead and let him pass me so we can figure out why I'm going the speed I'm going. Never mind the speed limit sign. There he is. He must have looked ahead. Anywho, the game show in question was in Atlanta. It's not like it's Family Feud. It's again a vendor meet. All the publishers of video games, computer games, whatever like that, and they meet with us, the retailer, and other retailers, as to, you know, hey, this game is the greatest game on earth. No, it's not. Go ahead and buy it anyway because we want you to sell it. Okay, that's how it works. So he went up there, and he wanted to drive up there. Now, we were in Broward County, Florida. And if you look at your map on Google, you'll find that it's pretty far down south. There's only like Dade County and Monroe County below us. So, yeah, and you look at all the other counties right above it, and it's like, dude, you want to fly. Take a small plane, you know, go get one of the silver planes, what like that, they were Continentals back in those days, and get one of those, you know, book a flight, and you'll be happier. And he's like, oh no, that's such a small ride, dude. No, it's not. It's Florida. Florida is a long state, you know, north and south. And just from where we are to Orlando to go see the giant rodent is 200 miles. Just go to the furthest point south of all the continental United States, Key West, that little marker there, is another 200 miles in the opposite direction. Okay, we're talking about a 4-hour trip. Either way. Oh, I'll be all right. Okay, so fine. So he takes off like at 8 in the morning, like a fool, and I literally get a call at the store, you know, thanks for calling. What? Oh, I can't believe I'm still in the state of Florida. It's like, what do you expect? Where are you? And he was like in Jacksonville. I'm like, you idiot. Yeah, you still got a while to go there, pal. Oh, the glorious days of people not knowing this state. And what's sad, a lot of people don't know this state. My parents have lived in the state of Florida since the 1960s. My dad came out of the Navy and moved here. My mom lived with the parents who had a home down here. And yeah, you know, they lived here for like the last 60 plus years, and they don't know nearly as much as the state. You know, they would like to think they do. They know of the state. They know, you know, that a lot of names here are Native American. You know, certainly at the Miccosukee and the Seminole, as opposed to Spanish. At least for you, Miami is not a Spanish name. It's just, there's a lot to know about this crummy little state of ours. And indeed, the Land O'Lakes butter that you find in your grocery store shelves is made here in Lakeland, Florida. Yeah, there are over 7,800 lakes in the state of Florida, believe it or not. It's one of those little tidbits. As far as area size, kind of in the middle, in the upper middle. As far as area-wise, you know, of course, there are bigger states like California, Texas, Alaska, New Mexico, and so forth. Even Georgia, for that matter. But it's a big, big state. And there's a lot of vastness, there's a lot of beauty. Now I'm traveling southbound in Broward Boulevard. We're at mile marker 21 on Highway 27. See, there's a bunch of shredded tires. Occasionally you'll hear this vibration down there, simply because of the fact that I'm running over a patch of the tarmac that's been breached by a shredding tire, where its rim decided to, you know, make some wonderful grooves here. And of course, there's construction, because in Broward County, if you don't run into a construction site, you just haven't lived. Boy, what a great thing this is. Oh, crazy. Now, last time I took this route, and there was actual bona fide construction in this particular vicinity, traffic backed up to right around here. Now, way in the distance, there is a bunch of traffic lights over there. So we're talking about, I don't know, a couple miles. And that's the beauty about this day. Another thing, it's so freaking flat. You can actually see potentially up to 10 miles ahead of you because it's so flat. Now, barring any trees or like that, we're about to hit a road called Crone Avenue, which will continue to the southwest. And there's going to be a gigantic hotel that's been up there for like maybe the last 5 years or something like that. But you can actually see this sucker 5 whole miles away from that point. To the turnpike, 8 minutes. No siree, Bob. I'm not going to take no frickin' turnpike. I don't have any money on my SunPass, so I haven't had the need to use it. So frickin' I did a lot of traveling some years ago. Oh goody, one of the barriers is like run over by a large vehicle. All right. Now, as exciting as this is, it looks pretty dangerous. Well, there's a reason for that. Because it is quite dangerous. They literally are making a brand new intersection that the trucks here tear up regularly. So every few years, they will lay this sucker down in concrete as opposed to actual, tar-based tarmac. Now let's take a look at this. To Highway 41. That's the Tamiami Trail. That's where the Miccosukee is. 14 whole miles. My goodness. So we've still got some traveling to do. And do my eyes tell me the truth there that there is yet another airboat ride thing? There most certainly is. Mac Fish Camp airboat rides open 7 days a week. Turn there. I'm afraid not today. Although I would love to do that. Ultimately, this is going to wind up on my YouTube page, so if I say anything that's not exactly, the greatest thing to say. By the way, just to give you a heads up, I'm doing 63 miles per hour in a 55 zone. I'm being passed like I'm standing still. That's the kind of drivers that we have down here in the state of Florida. There are other places like major cities. Particularly, I love watching traffic in New York City, Manhattan particularly. You find all those rather yellow taxi cabs and red light after red light after red light. It's impossible to travel at the speed in which I'm traveling right now. Because now I'm doing 65 whole miles per hour. That Honda Civic decided to just pass me at a pretty good speed. So I'm 10 above the limit. Imagine what the hell that car is doing. I'd probably say at least 70, maybe 75. Around here, as far as the DOT is concerned, they could try to catch us off for speeding, but because the vast majority of us are not doing that speed limit, the speed limit becomes moot. That's how it works around here, simply because of the fact that now suddenly, by doing the speed limit, we've become an obstacle. And although slower traffic keeps right, there's only 2 lanes here, not counting that merge lane that coming from that boat ramp. And they're decided to beautify by putting all these wonderful palm trees to separate on the barrier between that boat ramp and, of course, this wonderful highway. And check this car coming up. Whee! Gotta love it. This is State Road 994, what's known as Crone Avenue. And as you can see, it potentially is fairly lit up, as there are street lamps all over the place on both sides of the road even. Something I can't even get in Broward County half the time. At least well, technically we are in Broward County now. In Broward County, as far as residential and commercial areas, it's already heavily populated, heavily densely driven, roaded, things of that nature. At some point I would like to try Twitch again, but fool around with the phone going at this kind of speed right now. It's not something I like to do. I don't even like using my phone in the car. And it took me forever to get a smartphone. It's something I get chided by both my coworkers and particularly my wife. London Lass said, you should have gotten one of these so long ago. I said, yeah. And I said, I'm not going to do much on it. So I play a couple games. I don't play anything big. I'm really big into pinball. And so I do have like Zen Pinball, the Williams Pinball app, and the, Farside Studios Pinball Arcade. Sadly, they have not made a new game on that in about 5 years because they lost the Williams license to Zen, sadly. But it's a perfect table size thing. It's just really microscopic. So it's like playing those little dollar store, ball bearing pinball things, if you will. But it's an actual pinball table. Boy, mile 32. Oh my. We're almost there. Not even close. And we're about literally halfway. And as we were heading southwest in general, we're now going to be heading south in general. We take this little bit of a curve. And you really can't see it from the sides of the screen there, but there literally is nothing to look at except for flat marsh wetland. So this road here is literally carved out right on the edge of the Everglades Park. And it is absolutely wonderful. To the left of us, a bunch of farmland where cattle is raised. We used to have citrus groves all over the place in Broward County. And about 35 years ago, I think, they did like the canker scare and all that kind of stuff, where they were telling us there was blemishes on oranges that were appearing, and they called it canker, as opposed to cancer. And they were coming into our yard because we had a yard full of citrus, and said we may have to destroy these. And of course, like, no, you won't. What do you mean? Said, you're trespassing. Well, we're from the Florida Agricultural Department, we don't care. It said, we've been growing citrus here for literally decades, and we know how this works, and your science is crap. And it turns out the science was indeed crap, which all got blown to smithereens thanks to Hurricane Andrew in the early 1990s, where it didn't matter anymore. Things got blown instead of yards, they got blown for miles. And it all became pointless. But as a result of that, for the years leading up to that, a lot of yards, a lot of neighborhoods lost their orange trees. There's some years I didn't have to buy citrus at the grocery store because I grew this stuff. And now I have to buy citrus at a grocery store. How about that? And it kills me in the state of Florida that we grow so much citrus here. We have the citrus belt in Central Florida that they want to sell us California oranges. Nothing against California, nothing against oranges, but we grow oranges here too. We grow a lot of it, tons of it. Why would I want another state's orange when we have our own? But that's another story for another time. So, like I was saying before, London Lass has been in the hospital since mid-May. For the first several days, she was not aware of anything. Which is, quite daunting. Imagine what's going through her family's mind, not just my mind, because, I've known the kid for, over 15 years now. But her kids, literally like, oh my God, what are we going to do? This has never happened to us before, not to this extent. And it's sad, it's a kind of a parallel to what my mother was going through. Unfortunately, I refer to my parents still as a plural, despite the fact I lost my dad last year. And he suffered from renal failure. That was the cause of death. And I can imagine, he was falling apart right in front of our very eyes, particularly hers, because she dealt with it on a daily basis where, London Lass, my brother and I, not so much, although it was awful. but he was disintegrating. He was Mr. Indestructible. And he, apparently the title had been rendered non-applicable. And I just see him lose his mental faculties because of that, and that's what happens, sadly. You're not as lucid. You sound coherent. There's a hotel, by the way. I don't know if you can really see it, because it's not exactly bright and sunny day today, which is merciful. Right now, according to the temperature on top of the thermometer on top of the car, it's 89 degrees. This time yesterday, it was 97 degrees. So 89 degrees is kind of the norm here, or it used to be the norm, but I've noticed that the norm has kind of shifted a bit on the pendulum, both ways, by the way. Sometimes the lowers will be, the lows will be a bit lower than usual, the highs will be a bit higher than usual. I believe that we have a two-word name for that, but unfortunately there's a bunch of people who like to cry foul whenever it's mentioned, despite the fact the overwhelming evidence that it's there and who caused it. While there are a lot of cows in the world, there's a lot more other things that also produces that. Just saying. But there it is. There's the hotel. That is the Miccosukee Bingo and Poker Resort. Casino, for lack of a better term. Just like down here, we have the Hard Rock Casino, which is a rather interesting thing to look at because it's the guitar-shaped hotel. And it is an absolute beauty of a piece of architecture. London last night saw that thing being built, and we were just absolutely, marveled at, my goodness, how graceful this looks. Because even under construction phase, you can see the curvatures of the guitar bass and everything like that. Wonderful. So they built this thing. The first time I saw this was when I was traveling this route to go see London Last in the hotel. I'm thinking to myself, this is either a prison or a grandiose hotel. And it turns out, down here, when you have roads that go literally to nowhere, or seemingly nowhere, there might just be a prison there. Because, where if they decide to escape, and it's happened, where the hell are they going to go? Well, nowhere. But then I see just off the distance ahead of it, there is a marquee. Giganto-sized marquee. And I say, well, that tells me then that this is a hotel. Now, London Last and I went down to Key West via this route a fair number of years ago. And this building was not there then. So it had to be within the last 6 years. And it is finished. It is fully open and operating and all that kind of neat stuff. And like I said, it's the only building here, apart from cell towers and the water tower and all that kind of neat stuff. Not a whole lot of structural to look at. But there it sits. And where that sits is also a road called the Tamiami Trail. Now, if we were to go west on Tamiami Trail, it actually takes us right through the Everglades. And there's some really interesting places to walk through. But alas, we're not going there. This is not a time for celebration of that nature. I'm going to go see my wife. So she is in fairly good spirits. She's been through a great deal of ordeal as far as pain, as far as anguish, because of the fact that no one likes being in a hospital. God knows. London Last worked in the medical field for a number of years, both here in Florida and in the UK, where she and the kids lived for about 10 years. On my side of things, both my mother and my grandmother were registered nurses before doing their, jobs which they retired from, ultimately anyway. And they both worked at Jackson Memorial. My grandmother was there at Jackson Memorial back in its infancy days. My mother, about a generation and a half afterwards. And when your grandmother, says to you, now, you don't want to be in a hospital because it's designed to make you sick. Oh, I'm getting a phone call. Hang on for just a second. Pardon that interruption. My wonderful wife called. She's making sure I'm okay because it is a long trip, and she doesn't have the same type of. Calling it capacity is wrong. I have the ability, unfortunately, to measure time fairly accurately without the assistance of anything mechanical. And I can do that with distance as well, and it really sucks. For example, I always know what direction I'm facing. Despite, there's no sun to look at or there are any clouds. It's just the way I am. And having grown up thinking everyone else can do that, when in reality that's not the case, don't jump out in front of me. Smile. Yes. Oh, I hate people. Yeah, you're gonna be on YouTube one of these days. Anyway, somebody from Tamarack, Florida, is trying to get a hold of me. Okay, same person, I'll answer it. Because I do have the notion not to answer phone calls. That 157 on the stop house. Yeah, so we'll take the next one down. As I said before, I'm not big on answering phones while on the road. I don't like using my phone, period. Whether I'm on the road or not. I just don't like using my phone. Throw your phone. I despise texting. And that's a rather questionable logic that I have for that reason. It's because I am old-fashioned. Yeah, okay, I'm now 50 years old, and I don't see things or think of things the same as, say, the younger generations. Because I've been doused with technology literally my entire life. Oh, I got a voice recording. Okay. Especially if it's coming from the place where I think it is, I can actually talk to them. And of course, waiting on you. So instead of 157th, I decided to go down 152nd. What's the difference? Not much. 5 lanes instead of 2 lanes. Ultimately, our goal is Bird Road, which is Southwest 42nd Street. Right now, we're in a suburbia situation as we approach a city in Dade County called Kendall. It's not a bad city, actually. They have some nice hospitality here. And once again, by the way, I am doing the speed limit, but you never guess that. Fortunately, however, I will be turning left soon, so I can be the obstacle. Well, soon is relative. Right now we're at 18th Street. Another thing about South Florida, we actually don't, we do name our roads, but we also go by street numbers. Oh, look at that. A sign telling you how fast he's going, 50. Well, there you go. Someone's going 48, 53, 41. That's me. This is nice. But I want to live here. Absolutely not. It's bad enough in Broward County. Dade has a bigger population than we do. So, no, I don't want to live here. Miami Beach Police. Woohoo. But they do have some nice homes here. There are some nice neighborhoods here. And with like any other major city, of course, there are some not so nice places. I can show you plenty of Broward County, as a matter of fact. Hell, I used to live in one. Back in the early days of my life. As it were. Four-way stop. This is 34th. Traffic light up there is 42nd. So then we'll be making a left turn. Like I said, it is nice here. There are plenty of affluent cities in South Florida. Of course, you've heard of West Palm Beach certainly is one. Boca Raton definitely. Fort Lauderdale absolutely. Miami certainly. Of course, there's suburbs, cities. Plantation definitely. Sunrise, Miami Beach, Coral Gables, of course Kendall, where we're heading now. Alrighty. Southwest 42nd Street, Bird Road. Heck yeah. Almost there. Sit behind this Toyota Yaris. Poor Randy's had a bad day today. When they do her, she's in a burn unit, to be more precise. I'm not going to get into great many details as to why or what. But it's painful. I mean, you're in a burn unit right now. Of course it's going to be painful. It's bad. And today, well, you kind of expect something to happen at a certain time, as it has been happening for many days going, and it didn't. In fact, it got delayed literally about 3 hours. And goody thunder. I love it when it rains down here in South Florida, simply because of the fact that everyone seems to forget how to drive. They want to put up their hazard lights as saying, "Here I am, hit me," which almost happens. And all logic and knowledge gets thrown right out the window. Part of the problem is that, as I mentioned before, I'm one of 6 people who grew up here, lived here, and never left here past age 50. And obviously that's an exaggerated number. That's not, 6 is not really the number. It's probably more like 3. But, having said that, a lot of people are not from here. They are, one thing about South Florida is it is rather transient. And, like I said, my folks, hell, London Lass herself, her parents, none of them are from here. Her children don't count because they lived in the UK for about a decade. That means they've lived elsewhere. Plus, they're not the HY anyway. Let's see, my best friend for nearly 50 years, he counts. My brother, who's 5 years younger than he counts. I count. Let's see, a former colleague of mine when I was a teacher counts. She never left here. Another teacher of mine never left here. That's what, 5? And no, actually, also Elsie's. That's my brother's name. Call him Elsie. That's not his name. It's like back, obviously, it's not mine. Elsie's his initials, or PAC. They're my initials. So He is PAC. He is LCC. I am PAC. So he's LC and I'm sympathetic. He's not 50 yet, so he doesn't count. Never mind. That's 4. Where my best friend, he is 50. I am 50. 2 teachers I mentioned, they're 50 plus beyond 50. I'm pretty sure there's at least a couple others. Why not? Oh joy, I can actually see the rain up there. And of course it's raining in our destination. Thank God I kept the umbrella in the car. There's another thing around here. If you're going to live around here, have an umbrella. I've had the same umbrella that's in this car since I started college. To give you an idea how long ago that was, we're talking at least 30 years ago. So, having said that, amazingly, it still works. It's still together. It hasn't fallen apart. It doesn't have any holes in it. It's not broken, in other words. So, hey, why not? And here we go. People say, F the rules. Yes, roads now are going to get slick thanks to all the grease and oil that these cars drip from their underbellies through normal operation wear and tear. Not everyone has good treads on their tires because, again, people spend when they absolutely have to, especially these days. And where I work, I see many a bald tire attached to cars in our parking lot, which I've been guilty of myself from time to time. I really can't say anything. But of course, that means that there's no traction on a slippery surface. Fantastic. Almost there. Let's see. At 132nd Avenue. At least a few more miles. Plow through this yellow. Listen to that thunder. Now, London Lass's hotel, I wish, hospital room is on the 5th floor, so imagine how much fun it is, more so than being, say, on the 1st floor, getting to hear all that crap hit the window, and that thunderclap ricocheting in the air. When you're on the first couple floors, at least things like the plants and the trees around here will actually help absorb all that sound. But when you're on the 5th floor, not so much. There's nothing there to help absorb all that. And we're bound to catch a light sooner or later. Here we are. Belen Saborio Avenue. And you can see it there beyond the palm trees. There's a beige-looking building up there. That is the garage of the hospital to which our destination is. It's a pretty big hospital. It actually has 2 helipads. So I'm rather impressed with it, especially when the helipad's like directly on top of the building in which you're in. So you hear a chopper come by and it's pretty loud. And instead of, like fading off into the distance, it just simply gets louder and louder to the point where the room vibrating. I actually felt the floor vibrate beneath my feet when they had a landing. And being that, again, it's a burn unit, so therefore we're talking about, emergency of emergencies. Yeah, they'll get flown in. I'm not sure London Lass got flown in because the hospital which she was transported from does not have a helipad. So I hate to say that she probably got transported via ambulance, which would not be a fun ride for any of them. Mercifully, London Lass was out of it, but I'm pretty sure that the medical technicians that were with her, the EMTs, were not exactly thrilled with the distance between the two hospitals. Was approximately 47 miles. I got that right. And I'm trying to get her back into the first hospital in which all this started. Simply because of the fact that once the necessity of the burn unit is no longer a thing, she can go back to the lesser emergency of emergencies. And they can take care of her down there in the other city. And mercifully, the hospital staff agrees. So it's just a matter of when. Thankfully, not an if. Alright, so what we're going to do, we're going to go into the back entrance because, actually no, we're going to go through the main entrance. You have to appreciate the enormity of the hospital face, which we're about to see. As we're going through the back, if we're going through the backside, it's like, big deal. It's just a hospital. It's not just any hospital, buckos. This is a big hospital for the HCA network of hospitals. And there it is. Oh my God, it's huge. HCA Florida Kendall Hospital. Strangely enough, in Kendall, Florida. With speed bumps that'll kill your alignment. Now, the fun part for those of us who had to do this is finding a damn space that won't kill you. These poor people are doing the same thing I am, coming in to see a loved one. And they'd rather be somewhere else, to be honest. I mean, there's, oh, you found your own, you made your own parking space. That's fantastic. How about that, asshole? Why did I think of that? Well, because I don't want my vehicle towed. So no parking here. Fortunately, they have a very good drainage system. Unlike, say, my workplace, which does not have a very good drainage system. In fact, it has anything but a very good drainage system. We call it Lake, well, the name of the workplace, which I won't go into. Throughout this. Okay. That's the end of our trip. Let's see. Here we go. Can I flip around the camera the other side while I do this? The answer, of course, is no. Nope, can't do that because it's already. This is the thing about Twitch versus the actual camera. So, having said that, I'll just turn around this way. And I'm going to go ahead and throw it back to the game. And Soul Blazers, what we're going to be playing for tonight. Meantime, I'll see you all later as I go visit London Lass. See ya. Bye.
You